Whew. Hello. Yep. I should talk about what happened real quick. So, Friday, I was playing Elden Ring. There was an extremely loud bang, and I lost, my computer died, and I lost a lot of the wiring in my house with it. So what happened was, a capacitor in my power supply popped. And yeah, I have an old house, and so it took a decent chunk of my wiring with it. But since it was only the power supply, I was able to replace it for fairly cheap. It was under $100. And I paid $50 to have somebody install it for me because I've got sausage hands. Alarm, hey, how are you doing? And so, yep, half the wiring in my house is still shot. I'm currently running an extension cord from the kitchen to run my gaming setup. I've got an electrician coming sometime this week and we'll get things sorted out, but it was a weekend for me. Not good you're balding? Oh, that's a shame. I mean, like, you can lean into it. You're kidding. You're good. I was gonna say, like, if the second you're balding, you just go whole hog and you go for the Captain Picard. 22-year-old bald man. I mean, my cousin was a 22-year-old bald man. I get that. I've worked with a few bald people. And you can't tell that they're bald until, like, their hair starts to grow back, because they shave it all off and then, like, it comes back just enough and you're like, oh, it's not coming back in that one spot. Whew. I'm trying to remember how life works again. Balding because all these bills to pay, right? Like, I'm not looking forward to the electrician estimates I'm gonna get. Starlight Sonata, Chapter 12. It Takes Two, or three. Hang on, my game's really quiet. Fazoa's best detective duo has returned. My volume is at 100. Give me 1 second. I had to reset up my entire computer and something's not quite right. You guys can hear sound, right? I've got nothing. Welcome back, Melly and Malachite. John. Pulling up my sound settings. My volume's cranked up to a milli. I guess I'll figure this out after stream. It'll just be really quiet for me. I'm calling him Aura now. Because he's giving you migraines? No, because of his gloomy aura, of course. Well then, Melly, Aura, it's good to have you two back in town. I assume you were able to solve the mystery surrounding the missing familiars? Yes! With the help of my trusty assistant, I was able to figure it out. That's remarkable, I have to say. Good thing you went with her, Aura. It was a dangerous mission. Did you encounter a T-Rex? Of course not, but we were nearly burned alive. That's not what I would have expected. You must always expect the life to double-cross you. I'm glad you both made it back in one piece. But I'm curious, what was the reason behind those vanishing familiars? Do I need to worry about Andu disappearing too? How about we tell you what happened in Zoford, but only in exchange for 2 free drinks. I can see you've learned a thing or two on your first big mission. You're gonna lurk here in Apex right now? Yeah, take him out. Shoot him in the head with the guns. I want to say there was one called the Mozambique. Shoot him with that. Maybe do some clouds. I haven't played Apex, but I've heard things. Good luck. Take him out. Or it taught me how to be more cunning. Only the basics. No need to be so humble. You taught her well. What kind of drink would you like today, Melly? I want something... Something that'll polish my investigative and deductive skills. Drink that'll make me even smarter than I am now. So no mystery case like this one will ever be unsolvable for me. Coming right up. Ooh, it is bothering me that I can't hear the sweet drink pouring. You know what? Give me a moment. Got it. So when I replugged in my microphone, apparently it made that my default speaker. Which, you know, that's an interesting feature because my microphone, as far as I know, doesn't shoot sound out of it in any way. So, you know, fun for it to hijack the default device. Alright, let's make a Smarty Pants drink for Mr. Smarty Pants. Here, Andrew, drink this. Alright, let's see. Smarty Pants drinks could use some berries? Ding. Let's see if this will make your brain cells multiply. Thank you. Let me try. Ooh, this is good. I can already feel it. I'm gonna be completely unstoppable. Oh, hi, kitty. Wanna hang out with me? Oh, no. Oh, yes. Initially, I wanted to sit this one out, but I might actually need a drink now. It would be my pleasure if it means that I get to hear your story. Also, I'm craving a short laugh. Why don't you share one of your jokes with me? Right. We made a deal. Correct. So what will it be today? Maybe something that'll help me counter her verbal attacks, now that she's linguistically invincible. So the usual, alright, give me a second, I'll be right back. Oh, what was his usual? Charisma juice. Let's see, we throw some flowers in there. Let's see, it's already got the dexterity. Bing. This should make things easier for you. Oh. I can see it in his face. Is that bad? Huh? No, silly. He likes it. You can clearly see it in the way his scarf is moving. I see. My deductive skills aren't that bad after all. Think you could teach me a thing or two sometime? Of course. Then we'll be a trio. The detective, her trusty assistant, and the curious apprentice. I like the sound of that. It's been a while since I've been an apprentice. I don't remember being asked if I wanted to be part of this. But I couldn't have completed the quest without you. Also, being a detective's trusty assistant is an honorable duty. And I'm glad you came with me. Of course. Couldn't walk you head first into the open maw of a hungry T-Rex. Did you actually encounter a T-Rex in Zoford? No, don't be silly. Sorry, I tried to make a joke. I can tell. I think it was kind of funny. Let me show you how it's done. How do you ask a dinosaur if it wants a cup of tea? Beats me. T-Rex. I still have a lot to learn, it seems. But now, please, I'm dying to know what happened in Zoford. So, thanks to the golden feathers, we made it to Zoford in the blink of an eye. I don't think I've ever felt that fast in my life. Sounds like you had the zoomies. They helped us remain unseen too. Thanks to your drink, we were able to sneak around the city without attracting too much attention. But those ghosts were the clue we needed. I knew we'd find something at the dock, so we made our way there. She was right. In the dead of the night, just hours after we had left her tavern, we spotted a peculiar dog roaming near the water. We watched as it tried to sneak onto a cargo ship. It behaved weird, undog-like. It hid behind some barrels and kept looking left and right before it started sneak on board. Never seen a dog do that before. It looked like it didn't know how to be a dog. It didn't use its nose, its ears. It was just off. We watched as one of the workers noticed the dog and scared it away, but my investigative senses were tingling. So we started asking around, as detectives do when they want to collect some evidence. A few people said they have seen some animals with odd behaviors. Most of them thought they had some kind of illness, like rabies, or that they were spirits disguised in animal form sent by a sea witch. So they stayed away and minded their own business. Not very high-class detective of them, but they made for a fine witness. Apparently, there's something like a weekly get-together for all the town's familiars. We decided to check it out. And? We managed to track down a few of the participating familiars to get more insight. It was a little tricky since none of them wanted to talk to us at first. I think they were a bit wary of strangers. It also seems difficult for familiars to speak to people they don't know. Must have something to do with their magical abilities. But with our combined charm and charisma, Aura and I were finally able to gain the trust of one of them. And they told us something strange. They said all those familiars that went missing seemed to have been in contact with one particular magician. So of course we had to play that wizard a visit, preferably when he wasn't at home. I think that's called burglary. Finding out his address was child's play. Apparently he's quite popular among the people of Zoford. It just took a little bit of well-executed bribery to find the mage's home. Did you take some notes? I did! Prepare yourself for the next test subject, innkeeper. Should I be scared? Maybe. Only a little bit, though. Very well. Your drink really did wonders. We managed to break in without anyone noticing. We was so excited we snuck around looking for evidence, maybe a hidden ritualistic chamber or something like that. And did you find one? Sadly, no. But we found his office with the door open. Inside were a lot of books about different kinds of animals and familiars. We figured he just loves animals, or at least needed that knowledge for something else. As any world-class detective would, I also checked his trash can. And? Did you find anything? Well, nothing that helped solve the case. But I did find something that you'd like between all that shredded paper. It looked like a recipe for a magical drink, just like the ones you serve. Ta-da! That's very useful. The Silent Owl. Well, that sounds fun. That's what I thought. Anyways, Aura and I continued our search for clues. His office also had books about common and uncommon diseases in animals, so we kinda had a connection to the reported case of rabies. I thought it was a bit of a stretch. Not that I could change her mind. That wasn't all we found. Next to his desk, in a small cupboard, were his diaries. They were full of notes and spells that I didn't understand. Something about transmutational magic. While she studied his diaries, I rummaged through his belongings and scrolls. I had absolutely no clue what any of it meant, till I found something of interest. Detailed instructions on how to unbind a familiar from their services. A thought began to manifest itself in my brain, though I could not quite grasp it yet. But somehow my instincts told me that I had all the information I needed. I just had to stitch everything together. Kind of like what I do when I assemble quests for my patrons. Exactly. But right when I tried getting to it, we heard the front door squeak and creak as somebody entered the house. We tried to hide, of course, but we hadn't been quick enough with our investigation. And definitely not subtle either. The whole place looked super chaotic. The wizard immediately knew something was off. And a potentially dangerous person on high alert is even more dangerous. So we had to be on guard. Or I hid under the table, but I had other plans. Managed to jump on a bookshelf and wedge myself right on top under the ceiling. So I was hidden, but I could still see the whole room. Good call. Heh. I watched as the magician barged in, but he wasn't alone. He was accompanied by a lizard, a colorful bird, and a two-headed sheep. Oh no, not one of those again. Huh? It's nothing. Please continue. It was so weird. The bird didn't know how to fly, the lizard walked on two legs, and the sheep's two heads looked in the same direction. As if they all didn't know how to be real animals, just like the dog from the docks. But now we had proof. The weird animals were definitely connected to the weird wizard. And as if the wizard noticed something, he stopped and said to the animals, "No, you three, get out of here. I don't want you to get in trouble or hurt." I already had my fingers wrapped around my knife, ready to strike. I'm sure he felt my murderous intent. But it does sound like he cared about the animals. That's what I thought too. As soon as they left the room, I saw him create a ball of flames in his hands, and he was ready to strike. And I knew I had to do something. He would have done horrible things to Aura. So I meowed. Like a cat? Uh-huh. I pretended to be a cat. And somehow it worked, even though I was wearing clothes. Wizard turned around and saw me on top of the bookshelf. His features turned from worried to soft in a millisecond, and he said, "Oh, you little rascal. How did you get in here? Did I lock you in? You must have been terribly scared." I was scared, but not for the reasons he thought. So I just meowed a second time, as you do when you're pretending to be a cat. And then he said very politely, "Would you please come down here? This room isn't a place for little cats, but I can offer you a cup of milk instead." And that was a very tempting offer. So as any cat would, I answered, "No, but I would love some chocolate milk." I kinda forgot cats don't usually speak. Needless to say, his face was priceless. But then his hand started to light up again. "I immediately knew she was in danger, so I broke every possible rule the Thieves Guild taught me and just popped up from underneath the table." That was very brave of you. Don't know if I'd been so fearless. Well, I had to. The wizard turned around. He was surprised, maybe even scared. But he was also ready to fire at me. I saw my life flashing before my eyes. And before I could even think about it, I yelled, "We know you don't mean any harm. You're just trying to protect those familiars, right?" Apparently, I hit a nerve. He stopped right in his tracks. I took advantage of that moment and I tried to explain why we were in his home in the first place. I told him everything about the quest, the familiars, the weird dog. Usually I'm not very good with words, but, well, your drink definitely did what it was supposed to. I don't know how, but I think we managed to de-escalate the situation. He looked panicked before that, as if he was being chased. Maybe he was actually expected people to come after him. Hearing all those clues out of Aura's mouth, my kind of flipped a switch in my brain. I could see the truth right in front of me. Suddenly, everything made so much sense. I jumped down from the shelf and began my conclusion. It is clear to me that you, the accused, do not have ill intentions. However, that does not make you innocent. You're still involved in the disappearance of some familiars. She was walking back and forth while she gave her speech. Needless to say, the wizard and I were equally confused. You're fond of animals, and as such, also familiars. And while I don't know anything about magic, I have heard the term transmutational before. Who hasn't, honestly? It's a broadly used term. That right there was a blatant lie. So I, the world's greatest detective, have concluded you're turning familiars into animals. Or at least you're making them look like animals. You're also accompanied by some of those turned familiars, and you cared for their safety, which means you're here for their own free will. By turning them into animals, you did them a favor. They wanted to be transmuted. But now their patrons and the other familiars can't reach them anymore. And they're worried that something bad happened to them, and that's why we're here. Case closed. That's pretty impressive. And you figured that all out by yourself. Yep. The magician was also really impressed. I totally hit the nail on the head. I explained again that we were just there to investigate, but that it was also necessary for the familiars and their friends and families to talk to each other. The remaining familiars wanted an explanation, as well as their former mages. The wizard already felt really guilty for doing something behind their backs, of course. Turns out familiars were unhappy in their dragon-like bodies and much preferred feeling like real animals. Excuse me. It's the Batman voice. But they were afraid of telling their patrons and familiar friends, so none of the remaining acquaintances knew what had happened. Of course, they expected the worst. Why else would your friends just leave you alone and disappear without a trace? Yeah. But obviously none of them have wanted to continue on like that, so we helped set up a meeting for them to talk it out. And they did. All the magicians were very understanding, if a little sad to lose their connections. The other familiars also welcomed them with open arms, even though they were a little confused at first. They needed a while to understand why their friends wanted to be animals. I think they got it eventually. So, all in all, it sounds like a very successful quest. Absolutely. I'm glad you got to uncover the truth. Teehee, me too. The magician even decided to give us something in return for helping him. Neither of us have any use for it, so we want you to have it. I'd say that. It makes it sound like it's a bad gift, and it's not. What is it then? It's a ring of beast storing, with a lost familiar inside of it. We found it a long while ago, but its patron never showed up. We named it Renu. Melina can't take care of it, and I have my sheepfish Rufus. But you have Andu, so you already know how to take care of a mini dragon. Oh, I absolutely do. You might enjoy some company. So thank you two very much. There he is! He's up there on the shelf. He's a little pink guy. He's cute. I need to get back to Rufus now. Sorry. I need to get back to Rufus now. He gets lonely without me sometimes. Or is it that you get lonely without him? He's my pet. I need to take care of him. Don't worry. I'm sure Fable did a good job. Though it's nice to see how much you care for your pet. He's been my only friend since my parents died a long time ago. Oh. Were they also eaten by zombies? No. They were burned alive. Oh. Oh no. I remember it as if it were yesterday. It was late afternoon. My parents wanted to visit an adjacent village to buy some grain. But they never returned. I wanted to look for them. But when I got to the village, every house, every barn, even the ground was ablaze. I heard yelling, people screaming in pain, pleading for help. My parents were nowhere to be found. A few of the survivors confirmed that they had seen them earlier that day, before the fire. I later found out the perpetrator was the pretentious son of a noble family. He had a disagreement with a farmer over some payments and instead paid a bunch of criminals to set fire to his barn. But the fire spread uncontrollably and devoured everything in its path, including innocent lives, just like it did today. That's awful. I'm sorry, Aura. It's alright. I bottled up all my emotions and combined them into a desire. For a family? For revenge. Oh. That sounds like a lonely desire, though. You haven't found any friends since then? No. The people of the Thieves Guild helped me survive, but they weren't particularly keen on friendship. So I just chose the lonely path that was meant for me. That's not very nice of them. But now you have me. And we're best friends now. And accomplices. And we can found our own guild. Like a detectives guild. No. Guess a few more quests and we'll be the most famous detectives in all of Fazoa. I'm sure of that. Emerald Mountain, hi. How are you doing? That was a sound. And good mythical morning to you, Innkeeper. This time it's actually still morning. But that doesn't mean it isn't also morning somewhere else in the world as well. Of course not. It's a real cute hat you're wearing. Thanks. Can I try it on sometimes? Only if you tell me your name. Fellow master of bribery, I see. Pretty good. How am I doing? I'm doing pretty good. My computer exploded, but it was actually a pretty cheap fix. I really lucked out. Like, it wasn't the graphics card, the motherboard, or the CPU that exploded. So I got that going for me. And hey, I'm up and running again. I was only gone for like a weekend. But there's nothing more you could possibly teach me. A world-class detective like me doesn't need extra lessons in bribery. So you're a detective? Yes. The best detective in all of Fazoa, I might add. I'm Melina, by the way. You can call me Melly. Happy to make your acquaintance, Melly. I'm Hexagon Hex, but you can call me Hex. Like, by your last name? No, Hex, as in short for Hexagon, obviously. Ooh, game froze. That was good. It was a quick fix. Yeah, like I can't live without my computer. Like, so when my computer exploded, it took out like all the outlets in the room with it. And so what I ended up doing was spending the entire day cleaning this room for the first time in like 1,000 years. I've got kids, so it was a giant mess. That way I could run an extension cord out along the wall to the kitchen. And yeah. It was scary. It was a time. Honestly, I'm a little scared right now, because, like, I've got a surge protector hooked up to an extension cord going through the entire house. And if it blows up, then it takes, like, the kitchen with it. Like, that would probably be bad. So, I've got an electrician coming at some point. And maybe I won't, you know, destroy the rest of my house before he comes in and, gives me some rewiring quotes. Hoping to have the house rewired in a week or two before I destroy any more. But yeah, it's been an adventure. Ah. And who's that grim-looking fellow next to you? Oh, him? They look grouchy, but they're my world-class assistant. Not by choice. His name is Aura. I'm sure it is, yes. Nice to meet you, Aura. But I think you've gotten enough information out of me. Can I try on your hat now? It's a tricky one. You see this little star pendant on the tip of my hat? Uh-huh. Hope it isn't expensive of a fix. It does kind of depend. So, like, it's a very old house. And the whole thing probably needs rewiring because it's basically just a fire hazard as it is. So, like, we might go overboard and I might have to take on a little debt in order to, you know, keep the house from burning down. But if that's too expensive, I think we can get away with, like, just rewiring this one room. And if it can handle my computer, that's all I need. And I don't think that would be too expensive. Hoping below a few $1,000s. Ugh. Painful. But I don't know. Things happen. Good morning, Mr. Sugarheart. Good morning, Audrey. Yeah, rewiring the whole house would be expensive. It has been so long. Yeah. See, when I bought the house, I was looking for 3 things. I wanted cheap and spacious. And those are 2 things, and that's all the things I was looking for. I was wrong when I said 3 things. And so I was just going for like raw square footage for the cheapest price. Because I was like, we can, if we're doing well financially, we can expand into it. And if we're doing bad financially, we can quarantine sections of the house. And so, yeah, there are a lot of big fixes we need to do occasionally. But it's a nice house. It's got a lot of character. It's just sometimes that character is bursting into flames. Anyway, it classifies me as a wizard of the Primordial Sea. Talking about the star pendant on his hat. A silver one, I might add. One of Leviathan's most trusted confidants. Ooh. And all of his knowledge is directly transmitted to anyone with a hat like mine. In particular, silver stars like me have access to information that, leaked to the masses, would break the order of this world. Oh wow! But every silver star has to go through extensive mental training. Such amount of knowledge would drive any mortal without proper training insane. Also, Audrey, it is good to see you again. I didn't want to, like, cut that short. Welcome back. No. So I can't let you try on my hat without endangering your life. And I couldn't forgive myself if I were the reason Fazoa's best detective went mad. That is very honorable of you. But I, the great Detective Melina, have concluded that you, Hexagon Hex, are nothing but a bad liar. Ha! You're a great detective indeed. I honestly thought you were pretty convincing, Hex. Thank you. Wait, did you actually believe him? I must admit I considered it for a moment. No way! But I decided for myself that his words were fairly implausible. I just happen to know a thing or two about the Primordial Sea. I've read a few books, heard some rumors, you know how it is. And I really doubt Leviathan would share his precious knowledge with a mere mortal. Nothing against you, Hex. Thank the dragons. For a second, I really lost faith in you there, Innkeeper. I gotta say, you're really convincing. I sure am. Looks like even a great detective like me never stops learning. Honestly, you could have just told me no, though. I would have revealed my name even without a promising magical hat on the line. It's more fun this way. I think honesty is also a very important skill to master. Whatever you say, Detective. But Hex, what brings you here today? Nothing really. I was just longing for another one of your drinks. You know, the kind that would flood my head with new ideas. Leave it to me. Got a new drink to try. And I believe it is brain-based. Let's see. What is good for the brain? Berries. Brain berries. That was wrong. Hang on. Drink this. White juice. Not yellow juice. That seems like a yummy mixture. There you go. This should do the trick. Oh, let's see. Oh, I can already feel it. All the ideas. They're manifesting in my brain. Honestly, I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. I guess we'll have to find out. Oh, maybe you can show me a magic trick? Just to test your abilities, I mean. Well, yeah, of course I can. Glad you asked. You know, I'm a master of fire. Oh, then can you also do fireballs? I wouldn't call a fireball a mere trick, more like a fully fledged spell. But I can create 10 tiny flames on top of my fingertips. Like cute little candles. I want to see that. I would maybe advise you to play with fire outside. A lot of my ingredients are very flammable. You'll miss a real big show then. I think I'll somehow manage to survive. Your loss? Or are you coming as well? I'm good. Alright, Lone Wolf, you're missing out though. Certainly. See you later. Have fun.